everyone, it is me, your host, Dr. Incisor, and welcome to EvilStevel's Scarlet Cinema Summer Slaughter. Tonight we have for you 5 gruesome tales of terror for your devilish delight. First up we have Memorabilia Collector with How Killer Dog Enjoys His Summer.
Now, I know you guys are wanting me to do this. I've been singing it in the fucking chat. So, to 5-minute piece, you guys, we're about to do it. Whew, this is gonna be tough, man. This is gonna be a crazy one.
Very interesting and strange. That wouldn't be enjoyable to me, but he looks like he's having fun. Next we have a returning contributor to Scarlet Cinema, Junebug Films, with his entry, The Idiot.
So, people are stupid. A guy decided to run into a whole bunch of fireworks during a fireworks show and was burned to death. Yeah, dude, fire hurts. So, the day we celebrate our Independence Day, one of the greatest summer holidays of all time, and one of the best holidays of all time, this man decides to burn himself by running into fireworks because he thinks it's hip and cool. I don't know what he was thinking. People have just gotten really dumb. I mean, I've done stupid stuff with fireworks, but nothing on the level of this. So, here's some footage of his, rather pictures, I should say, of some of his burn marks. I hope you're not squeamish.
Remember, be safe with fireworks. Don't be an idiot like this guy.
What can I say? It's all in the title. That man truly was an idiot. Next we have another returning contributor in Max Washington with his short film, The Warlock's Winter.
Journal entry, November 16th, 1834. The warlock has put a spell on the land. 3 years of winter. I must stop it. I will do whatever I have to do to stop it. I will bring summer back. I am going to the temple now. If it takes me weeks, months, years, I will conjure something that will destroy the warlock. The goddess of summer, together we can destroy the warlock.
I am watching you from afar, Lord Scotty. 'Tis I, the Warlock. You shall not succeed. Summer will never come back. I am taking the bodies of the frozen dead taken them to my castle. It's getting quite crowded in here. They're piled everywhere. I'm beginning to turn them into zombies and vampires. I'm creating an army, and I will take over the world.
Shut your mouth, Warlock.
Yes. Keep working on your stupid spells. And continue on your hero's journey. Best of luck. So pathetic.
Oh yeah? We'll try this on for size.
No!
Journal entry, June 1st, 1836. The Warlock is gone. Summer has returned to the world. Now I shall go to the mystical lake, and I shall hang out with my friends, the turtles and the birds.
Don't count your chickens so fast, Lord Scotty. Don't count your turtles or your birds either. So fast. I am in the afterlife, but I'm crawling my way back to you. I shall have my revenge, boy. Yes, you should never really play with mystical forces that you don't know anything about. They'll always come back to haunt you. Now, finally making his Scarlet cinema debut is King Gore with Mr. Algorithm.
Oh. 1K. Nice. If my shirt weren't so tight, I'd be jumping up with joy celebrating right now. This is a victory. Mr. Gore. Can I help you? Oh, hi. Yeah, I'm Mr. Algorithm. I couldn't help overhearing what you were saying from outside of your door, but, yeah. I'm Mr. Algorithm. Wait a second, you look just like me. No, I understand where you're coming from, but I get that a lot. I look like a lot of different people. Yeah, I promise you, it's a total coincidence. No. You look like a clone. Like, you look exactly like me. We're like wearing the same undershirt. It's a very common shirt. You look like a knockoff magician. Like, you look like a really bad magician. Oh, that's real funny. And says the guy that wants to get famous off of content creation. I don't see you really trying to cut corners. Who the fuck wears a peach tie with a silver button-up? Oh, you're one to talk, Mr. Bazinga shirt. What is this, 2000 and fucking old? Yeah, a shitty dressed magician. How about this here? Pick a car, any car, yeah. Fuck you. Yeah, fuck you too. Oh, fuck you, buddy. Fuck you too, buddy. Oh, no, fuck you, buddy. Fuck you. That's cool. Can you get the fuck out? Prop comedy aside, you did say that you hit 1,000 subscribers. I see you're so happy over hitting that 1K. Well, yeah, I did. I hit 1K. 1,000 subscribers. It's pretty cool. Right. And what were your plans exactly for after you hit 1K? Were you going to clean up the content a little bit? Were you going to make sure that your content was appropriate for all ages? I mean, they have you specify whether or not you're an adult channel. Like, I should be able to make adult content, like content for adults, without any issues. Common misconception. You see, you might be able to sit here and say to YouTube, well, my channel is for adults, but do you think that I give a fuck about what you selected on your YouTube channel? Because I don't. Not even a little bit. Not even a little. See, I have a job to do. My job is to make sure that YouTube gets its money. One way or another. I can't just let you slide. I know we're tight. We're like this, you know? We look alike in the facial features. We obviously have the similar style and fashion. But your channel is just not suitable for all ages. And so I'm going to have to start pouring all of the penalties down onto you. Age restrictions, community guidelines violations, which accumulate over time. And as you know from the past, doesn't usually turn out too well for all of you edgy horror movie creator channels. So what are we going to do about this? I mean, you haven't seen the video where the guy paints a portrait of some people with his penis? That's educational. I learned a lot about that video. Okay, well, what about all the videos of women, like, showing how to shave their vaginas, or, like, all of these, like, Brazilian waxing videos that are educational? Like, is that still allowed on YouTube? It's educational, yes. I would not know how to shave a vagina if it weren't for those videos. Like, I do appreciate the platform, I really fucking do, but it's not about making money all that much. I mean, to be honest, when I was making money on YouTube, it wasn't even because of YouTube. YouTube doesn't pay people shit unless you go viral. It's the people that really support me out there. They love me. Well, I mean, I could axe your channel right now. I mean, you have 1,000 subscribers. You don't need to monetize anything for me to just take everything you worked for away. But you could make it worth my while. You know, I know I'm dressed like a businessman, but I'm willing to make some exceptions. If you're willing to submit.
Things are never gonna go back to the way they used to be, will they?
You want to be a YouTuber, don't you? Well, this is how it starts.
Okay, Mr. Algorithm. I'm ready to accept my fate. I'll do whatever you want. Yes, I'm sure that short film was relatable to some of you out there. See, me not being a YouTuber, I have no idea how any of that is, but it seems like torture. To close out tonight's festivities, we have The Art of Horror returning to Scarlet Cinema with It's Getting Hot in Here.
Steve and Veronica were very much in love. Recently married, they had purchased a small cottage on a large property out in the country. The area they had moved to was known as Sunlands. Sunlands because it received more sun every year than any other part of the country. During the summer, the temperature would often exceed 40 degrees Celsius. Their closest neighbour, Jed, ran an orange orchard and kept very much to himself. Steve was working at a local primary school in town, leaving Veronica to her own devices during the day. She had struck up a rapport with Jed, and he would often call in for morning tea. Jed came across as an unassuming, polite, humble man. She never would have guessed that in her wildest dreams, he was responsible for a slew of killings across the country, or that Jed was looking at Steve and Veronica's relationship with very jealous eyes. One evening, Veronica invited Jed over for a meal with Steve and herself. Jed said he would supply the dessert, as he baked an amazing chocolate orange cake using the oranges that he grew on the orchard. That evening, they all sat down to a lovely meal that Veronica had prepared, and after they had eaten, she brought out the sumptuous looking cake that Jed had made. Steve remarked on how good the cake looked and was halfway through his second forkful when he saw Veronica slump unconscious into her chair. The world spun around him as he too was rendered into unconsciousness and fell face first into the plate of chocolate cake. Jed leaned back into his chair, rolled a cigarette, lit it, and grinned to himself like an idiot. Steve opened his eyes. At first he didn't know where he was. He couldn't work out why he couldn't move his arms or legs, or why he was having difficulty breathing. The world was so bright and so hot, and as his eyes adjusted, he recognised Jed's ramshackle farmhouse. Holding a very elegant floral teacup and saucer, Jed took a sip of his morning cup of tea. Sitting next to Jed on the couch that was on the front porch was Veronica. Her hands and feet were bound with what appeared to be barbed wire. Duct tape was wrapped around her head to cover her mouth. The look in Veronica's eyes was utter terror. It was at that point Steve realised he was buried up to his neck in the familiar red soil of the area. "Good morning, Steve," said Jed. "Looks like it's going to be a fine day." Steve was confused. What the fuck is going on, Jed? Veronica! Oh my god, Veronica! Let her go, you bastard. So help me, if I get out of this, I'm going to tear your throat out with my bare hands and feed your heart to the dogs. Now, Stevie Weevy. Foul language will get you nowhere. Don't you know you'll catch more flies with honey than vinegar? Jed took another sip of tea. The weatherman says it's going to reach 46 degrees today, Steve. And as you can see by the thermometer I've conveniently placed next to you, it's 8 AM and already 32 degrees. And do you know something, Steve? It's always 10 degrees hotter close to the ground. Steve started to scream more profanities and threats at the top of his lungs. Jed slowly walked over to him, whistling. He took out a 3-inch blade from the scabbard on his belt. Steve's eyes widened with fear and anger. Let her go, motherfucker! Now, Stevie boy. What did I just tell you about profanity? If I blasphemed as a young lad, my mother would grab my tongue and wipe soap on it. And I'm sorry to say this, Steve, I'm all out of soap. So I'll just have to improvise. He gripped Steve's jaw with a calloused hand, forcing his mouth wide open, and cut Steve's tongue out. Steve's screams changed to a gurgle sobbing as he started choking on his own blood. Jed tossed the tongue into the orchard and a crow swooped down, greedily snagging it up, flying away. The large man walked over to his car and opened the boot. He removed a small camera on a tripod and set it up looking at Steve. Me and your girl are going to watch you bake like a potato in the sun. I hear streaming is all the rage with you kids these days. Veronica was struggling the whole time, wanting to save her loved one so badly, not caring about the barbed wire ripping into her flesh, cutting deeper the more she fought. Jed strode back to the veranda, picked up Veronica, and put her over his shoulder. He took her back inside. The old door creaked shut behind them, and Steve heard the ancient reverse cycle air conditioner that Jed used to cool the house rumble to life. He looked to his left at the thermometer. It read 38 degrees and was rising fast. Veronica sat at the head of the table. Her hands and feet were bound to the chair by barbed wire. Tape still covered her mouth. Jed picked up a small TV and put it on the table. He pointed a remote control at it and the screen clicked to life. Steve's head was jutting out of the sand and could clearly be seen on the monitor. His face was bloodied from the wound Jed had inflicted. 2 hours is the record, Veronica. By lunchtime, Steve's head will be cooked like a boiled egg. And he laughed. Crickets chirped to life outside as the sun started to set. Jed sharpened his knife at the other end of the table. He was muttering incoherently to himself. As Veronica looked around the room she was in, she saw a door slightly ajar. The dining room light shone through, and she could see what appeared to be a mixed pile of men's and women's shoes. On the kitchen bench there were several jars, each containing different body parts, including hands, feet, and eyes. 3 jarring, large, thudding sounds were heard at the front door, and Jed jumped to his feet. "Who is it?" he asked in a sarcastically sweet voice. He was answered by another large thud. Jed looked at the screen on the table and couldn't believe what he saw. The camera had switched to night vision mode, and where Steve's head should have been, there was just a hole in the ground. Jed's mind was racing. How could Steve have survived the heat and blood loss, let alone have dug himself out? Jed shook his head. None of that mattered right now. All that counted was taking the double-barrel shotgun he had hidden above the door, and to end this right now by putting 2 rounds into Steve's chest. Jed flung the door open. Firing from the hip, he unloaded both barrels into Steve's torso, making him reel backwards from the concussion of the blast. 2 meaty holes opened up in Steve's chest, momentarily making moonlight shine through. Jed stood dumbfounded as Steve lumbered towards him. The 2 holes had exposed Steve's ribcage, and guts were hanging out. Stunned by the horrific sight walking towards him, he was smacked by a shovel on the side of the head before he could react, knocking Jed out cold. As Jed opened his eyes, he could feel the sun on his face and dirt on his chin. Madness and panic both dawned upon him with equal measure as he realised he had been placed in the very hole he had dug for Steve. He glanced at the thermometer. It read 42 degrees Celsius. A dishevelled, bloodied and exhausted Veronica stood next to a very different looking Steve. Flies buzzed around him, and his pupils were milky and white. 2 large shotgun wounds were clearly visible and had torn through Steve's clothing and flesh. Veronica kicked red dust into Jed's face. "I hear 2 hours is the record," she said to him. Veronica took Steve's cold, white, bloody hand in hers as they walked off together.
Our love is a many splendored thing. There definitely was love there, and a few other sinister things. I truly hope you enjoyed EvilStevel's Scarlet Cinema Summer Slaughter. Until next time, I'm Dr. Incisor, and I'll see you in your nightmares.